Hello, hello. Hey, hope everybody is having a wonderful, wonderful day. Dennis Carroll here. What is true? Uh, the YouTube broadcast. We're doing Facebook Live at the moment, so we're glad to have you with us. And most importantly, go grab your friends, neighbors, relatives, all the young people, young men out there. I need your attention. Share this. Moms and grandmas, get the word to your people that we have an epidemic that we need to acknowledge, and it is indeed dangerous. I preached on this past Sunday evening. It's on the topic of gambling, and we just want to take the time and observe what's taking place in our culture and how that it may be that we have 100% fallen prey to that. I must say that with the invent of the sports betting, I have many friends athletes that I've played ball with through the years at a couple of the athletic clubs in days gone by, and respected among all of us in the state for their athleticism and their leadership. And now they're selling betting formats. I mean, they're selling betting formats. That is, you can take $5 or $10, send it to this entity that will give you an application, and you can bet on a game or whatever it is that you're wanting to bet on, in the sports arena particularly, because they're associated with that. And let's just ask ourselves, is this wisdom that comes from God? I do hope that you'll give me the time. I hope you share it, and let's get the word out, because this is serious. We see, I'm going to throw things out there real quick. It violates the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Violates the golden rule. It destroys the work ethic, and I know points, everybody will argue in these points. It doesn't destroy my work ethic, it's just a part of it. And then the violates stewardship, and this is from Luke, the 12th chapter, verses 15 through 21, and how that it destroys families. If a man does not provide for his own, he's worse than an unbeliever. We have to provide for our own, but the means by which we do that, God has laid out on how that we obtain wealth, money. The unique thing about gambling and what do you have to lose is particularly when it comes down to like playing cards, playing poker, is what's a poker face? You become a liar. You learn how to hide the truth. And you join with others who know how to hide the truth, and then you become involved in a game in which that you just try to take the other person. The point of crisis is this. In mobile gaming, some of you may not be aware, but every phone, this is a gaming device. Every phone is a pocket casino. There's no physical barriers. It would be before that you would have to go to a place to gamble. You'd have to go to a casino or find a place where it would be legal and you could go in and do that. But now there are no physical barriers. You can play anytime, anywhere, under any mental state of duress, because it has the propensity of rapid financial loss. That is the instant digital aspect. You never exchange money. You don't have money in your hand and you give it up and then you don't have it. You just put a number out there and suddenly it's gone. But so it speeds up the loss cycle. And then savings can evaporate quickly. And people that say, oh, I'm just going to spend a few dollars at the casino will find themselves spent and borrowing more because they know the next one's coming, right? Let's just say you're the guy that puts $2 in the office pool and never does another thing. But the kid in the back putting his $2, maybe he wins. Suddenly, you might have someone who is susceptible to that addiction that suddenly has their first experience. Likewise, on the phone, here's $5, go play. Now, a person that is given to that, and we understand from a psychological perspective that we have addictive personalities. They all differ, but nevertheless, you go to that road and there you are. So I'll give you $5 to get you started. Or you give me $5, I give you $100 to get you going. And then the marketing saturation. This is where my friends are selling out. My athletic guys. I mean, they are in a position to influence, and they are selling something that they should not. They would not want this on their grandchildren or on their children, but they're going to this thing is being pushed. The notifications come through everybody's phone. It's integrated into the life of sports, and it's about to ruin them because there have been several incidents where there was accusations that a man could bet on a game for $100,000, and he's involved in the game. So he doesn't make the call, or he makes the call, or he misses the shot, whatever it is. Because this is a contagious physical trigger. That's why you see it culturally being now measured with the level of the opioid epidemic. And the end result is, if you're engaged in this, and it's on your phone, you're not proud of being addicted to or engaging in this. As a loser, you're going to change your identity. So now you have the mental toll where you have anxiety that you've caused upon yourself, depression when it never works out, and then you begin to isolate, particularly when you go from, the interactive, we're going to go down and bet on the ponies or whatever it is that you're going to do, to suddenly you are now isolated and you are in a solitary cycle. Potentially a severe personal crisis. Detachment from what's righteous or normal. How extreme has it gotten? How extreme has this gotten? You can go on to these sites now. Many of you, everybody's heard of them because they're just out there everywhere in these market on doing odds. You can now legally, financially have a platform that you can bet, like Kalshi. If Costco will raise the price of their hot dog and soda combo, that's now $1.50 because of the cost increase. They said that they were never going to do it. Forget about the Super Bowl and the score and the winner, and the boxes at the game. At the office pool or whatever. Let's bet on the color of the Gatorade that will be dumped on the winning coach. How long will the singer in the national anthem, will he go longer or shorter? What are we talking about? We have, since 2021, for a 5-year period, we came out of the pandemic. We've gone through some pretty incredible psychological changes where we've done things isolated that are detrimental to our social order. $74 billion in 2021. $123 billion online gaming revenue. Let that soak in. It's incredible. $123 billion. 96% losers. It just doesn't seem possible to willfully engage in an enterprise, in an business structure, an enterprise, where you are going to put your money in it, knowing you're going to lose. Now, you can know it. Or you can say, well, you got 4% of the people that, you got 4% of the people that have beat the system. And that's where this actually becomes down to, are we walking by faith? And is the gambler walking by faith? Now, to do this, let's make a distinction, okay? There's a difference between investment and gambling. Now, both have risk, but we're not talking about the fact that we don't live without risk. And that's where many say, well, everything is a risk, so I'm just engaging in risk, flippantly. But now, this is legitimate investment. It's legal financial framework. That is, you have contracts, you have due diligence. That's what, you invest in a company as a partnership. They take your money, they apply their business tactics, their business plan in order to buy, sell, and make a profit, if the Lord wills. And if that occurs, then they will in turn hold your value. Here's your money back. I have invested it. I've used it well. These are things that we see in Scripture. But in poker or in gambling, the wager of value on the event is 100% uncertain outcome. It's determined primarily by chance or luck. And we enter into it looking at the model that is before us with negative expectations. Now, people say, no, I'm going to win. You need to look at the facts, the house edge, and then the emotional effect of this roller coaster that you ride, and the loss. So, in this presentation, we just want to exit through each step and address this to gain biblical anchors so we can get through this. Smartphone. Every person has access. It's just virtually every human that has a smartphone. Throughout even rural and remote areas of the world often have this. The global online revenue is rising rapidly to historic multi-billion-dollar levels. Over 80% of all digital gambling is now conducted through this mobile app. Now, look, we need to back that up, because what we had before was 8% of the population, 12%, 15% that would even go to a casino, just out of the fact that they didn't want to go to the trouble. Now that is being forwarded as a enhancement by, here is 200 free points to use. Invest $5, we'll give you points and you can win. And so the comprehensive data tracking provides 90% of online players face financial net loss. Loser. That you're setting yourself up for a moment that you have put yourself in a position to be a loser. And there are psychological mechanisms that trigger, even though the financial odds are so much against you. Regions with localized gambling betting, bankruptcies are 10% higher. 10%. Bankruptcy. That is, that all the savings, the money that was there, was consumed by statistics here in gambling. And the people that engage in online in this gambling, they're there every week. That means that they're budgeting their bet. And we are spending $123 billion of our money on budgeting, on betting, rather than investing in anything that would have value, or even to give that to the work that we might extend the gospel to more of the world. A man with an evil eye hastens after wealth and does not know that poverty will come upon him. So this interface that we have with this mobile system of financial drain is actually perceived as a shortcut to financial prosperity. The truth is it leads to loss. You've seen them. They look like this. They're everywhere. The online is ruining sports. And if they don't get a control of it, then the outcome of the events will be based upon where the bets lie. So let's take this. How does the worldly definition of taking a risk differ from the biblical concept of walking by faith? For those of you that profess faith in Jesus Christ but like your casual betting and hanging out at the various establishments that engage in this betting, what's the difference between the idea of taking a risk and a biblical walk of faith? And in what ways can a community proactively support families that are suffering from the ripple effect? This is what we have to understand. A community in churches, you don't think this is throughout. This is everywhere. This isn't just, I'm talking about the world out there, because this is something that is epidemic level in the church. What practical steps can we take to cultivate contentment? I'll say in repentance, you just take, first of all, the step and get the app off your phone. Then you keep your life free from the love of money. Be content with what you have. That doesn't mean that we are not industrious. We have all kinds of texts working with our hands, that which is good that we may have to give to him who has need. But what we're talking about is trying to find contentment and financial faith, because maybe what is wrong here is this lack of financial faith. People look, faithful stewardship begins with the recognition that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Now, if I'm going to compromise principles, even of fundamental principles, that I would beat the system, greed and wealth bring spiritual suffering. And 1 Timothy 6 tells us that. Now, the sleep of a laboring man is sweet, but those that seek to be dishonest in their exchanges, it'll be taken away. It'll be taken away because you're setting yourself up to lose. You're gambling that someone else will lose, but you will be the loser. And we know that Philippians 2 and verse 4, that we look out not only for our own interest, but also for the interest of others. This can be so far-reaching, but the love of others does not profit from their loss. And then being content with what you have. For God is with you. That's Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 5 is actually the text that would allow us to move past that anxiety addiction as we begin to see that God has designed for us how to live the abundant life and enjoy the life. We are to aspire to lead a quiet life, to mind our own business, to work with your hands as we commanded. Here's the thing. We find rest in God's creation. We strive to have that quiet life. We mind our own business. AI and the peace sign is awesome. Minding one's own business. We focus on the things that are before us, that each one must carry his own load. We bear one another's burdens, but when it comes to business, each one must carry his weight. So we work with our hands that which is good, that we may have to give to him who has need, and the fruit of diligent labor is, in fact, the joy, as you read in the book of Ecclesiastes, is you discover that the joy is in the labor. So the path of peace, well, we all want paychecks, and we all do that so that we can be sustained. But we need to find joy in our work. And it is commanded, this is to complete the cycle, to pursue peace, to seek peace and to pursue it. Now, this chart is so we can know, everybody, the scriptural foundation. This is how we know, how we obtain wealth. The path of righteous stewardship. To work with your hands as we commanded you. The Christian path of commerce. The fair exchange of goods. In Leviticus 19, he says, a just balance, a just weight, a just ephah, a just hin. If we engage, I've been in the furniture business in the past, and it was right and proper for the exchange to be fair. To be fair. I mean, the owner had to make money. It was for the purpose of making a profit, but not to take advantage. That is the fair exchange of goods, not the abuse of another. And then also in 2 Corinthians 9 and verse 7, and we receive by benevolence. We give. And we can receive if we are in need. It's a beautiful thing that God has set up in this order of our path of contentment. Is do not worry, don't be anxious about the things. And a man's life doesn't consist of the things that he possesses. But a gambler seems to be broken into that idea. And gambling is not founded upon any precept of righteousness. There is nothing in it that is founded upon the precept of righteousness, and we can conclude that the act is contrary to righteousness. And Romans 6 says, do you not know to whom you yield yourself servant to obey, that one servant you are to whom you obey? Sin leading to death or obedience leading to righteousness. And that means we draw lines in the direction that we are going to go. Consider Paul regarding money. 1 Corinthians 9, he said, I have the right to access money from you, but I wouldn't do it so that it would not be perceived that I was doing something and in it for the money. I'm here to serve. And thankfully we are sustained. And Paul was very thankful to the Philippian brethren that cared for him, and he had learned in whatever state he was in to be content. And Paul says he made these kind of sacrifices, not engaging in this kind of, hey, pay me to preach. He made himself an example. And to be that distant from refusing to show that there's any semblance of manipulation in financing for paying to preach, whatever that is, it is that no. Integrity and accountability are in the details. We reject self-interest, conduct that is destructive. Look at the casino, the online gambling, you go in, associated with alcohol. Why is it that an individual enters into gamble, and if they, pay enough money, then suddenly their drinks are free? It doesn't. It doesn't take anyone's intelligence to figure this out. You're being scammed. Willfully. So much so that they're paying people that you respect and trust to sell you on the idea. Send me some money, I'll give you some credit points, and we'll get this thing started. Look, this violates the golden rule. This violates stewardship. A person's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses. The work ethic, do your own business, work with your own hands. Ephesians 4:28. The one that stole, steal no more, but labor, that he may give. And the destruction of homes, like the opioid addiction. 1 Timothy 5 and verse 8, an individual becomes so consumed in this greed or this desire or this thought that he's going to really make it all and then take care of the family, suddenly is controlled by that and is no longer providing for the family, not providing for his own. And in so doing, he has denied the faith, is worse than an unbeliever. Don't let yourself get out of sync with prioritizing your financial responsibilities according to the divine will. Don't violate the golden rule. Don't violate the rules of stewardship and not being content. Work with your hands. Be busy in the things that you should do. And then just realize that your association will corrupt you. And I'm talking to my friends that are selling. I mean, if you're gone into it and justifying it, I'm praying for you. But you realize that your influence on the younger generation, I'm talking to some young men right now. And they respect y'all. But look what you're doing. The pathway to true contentment is the freedom from this material bondage. The virtue of contentment, godliness with contentment is great gain. In Philippians 4, learning how to be content in whatever state that you're in. And this comes by having this trust. Not in chance, not in time, not because I'm walking by risk. The presence and the promise of God. He'll never leave me or nor forsake me, even if I'm walking through the valley. And we give thanks daily for what God has provided for us. These are how we ought to live. Keep your lives free from the love of money. Be content with what you have because God has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Gambling is not walking by faith. Gambling is not walking by faith. Violates the golden rule. Violates stewardship. Destroys the work ethic. Exemplifies dishonesty. If you can't get any of them, get that one. Evil associations, if you're all in it together, you're all wrong. And it will destroy homes. It might not have destroyed yours, but you're setting somebody up, and it'll destroy theirs. You're normalizing cognitive disorders. Widespread gambling conditions a society to rely on a gambler's fallacy, believing a win is due. I'm due to win, so I'm going in and dropping that 100. It's the illusion that you have control over a random event, which you do not, and over time it erodes your community's commitment to logically, financially plan. And now we'll feed that need through the lottery. We need to learn how to work and make rational decisions. The ripple effect of that which people have brought in for various reasons into their lives, whether it's entertainment or think they're going to come out ahead, they show that a single person, gambling, like any addiction, when it begins to impact that individual, the psychological, the spiritual extension of that is 5 to 10 of their close associates are affected also. It creates a systematic anxiety, chronic stress or depression within and among family and friends. And then the community trust. You become known as a good gambler, as a poker face, a good liar. The domestic conflicts from all the secrecy, because this is obviously something that is always run in the background. The interpersonal deception, the fraud, the embezzlement that goes in, and the relationship fracture through winning or losing. And it can weaken, it isolates, and then it can create social distrust and compulsive. This is, you know what, in Romans, the 14th chapter, about things we think we have a liberty to engage in, but it would cause somebody to stumble. Look, stop it. People are out there that might do like you do, but they have a different effect maybe than your control. And it has severe physical effects, but we're talking about the spiritual consumption of a man's mind. Gambling is not walking by faith. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we'll go to such and such a city, and we'll spend a year there, and we'll buy and sell and make a profit. But you have to say it this way: if the Lord wills, we shall live and do this or do that. For all such boasting is evil. To him who knows to do good and does not do it, him it is sin. We give thanks to God for the opportunity to buy and sell and get gain. Where in this depiction can you give thanks to God for the run to the casino and even the profit that you might have had on the win? Let's close it out. Thank you for the time. Contact me. Be glad to sit down with you and discuss these things and then how they relate to so many other things. But keep your lives free from the love of money. Be content with what you have, because God has said, I'm going to never leave you nor forsake you. May God bless you as we seek to serve Him. If you're in the Little Rock area, 2610 Reservoir Road, we hope that you can come be a part of the group here. Wednesday nights, I think we, in a couple of weeks, are going to begin a study in the Psalm and singing some of the Psalms. It's going to be beautiful. So hope and pray that if you're in this area, come be with us and join us here or on the What is True with Dennis Carroll on our YouTube channel. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll see you Thursday, Lord willing.